Hi, it's Katria. I want to talk to you about my least favorite subject, which is failure. I actually didn't really understand failure until I started working Beachbody and doing personal development. For me, failure started when I was very little. I always felt that if I didn't if I disappointed my dad, then I was a failure. And I disappointed him a lot. And I think also when we're young, we associate failure based on a number, maybe a grade on a test. 70 or below might feel like a failure. But in my house, if you got under a 90%, that was a failure. I was expected to get all A's, and I accepted that, and that's what I strove for. But I remember my very first C was on a paper in English class, and as soon as the teacher handed that paper to me, I just started bawling. I couldn't stop crying, and my teacher looked at me like, this girl's crazy. And he even told me, he said, Katria, you can make this up. This is not your final grade. But to me, I never got a C before, and it just was in my head that that was a failure. But the truth is, our failures are not events. It's a part of a journey that we take towards success. That C didn't follow me to high school. It didn't affect me graduating high school. It didn't go with me to college, affect me graduating college. It doesn't affect me as a mom or as a wife in my adult life. So it really wasn't that significant. But at the time, it felt like a failure. So I know in Beachbody, when you're a new coach, or maybe you've been a coach for a while, and you're not achieving certain milestones that you want, you might be hearing the word no a lot from when you're inviting people to your groups or to coach with you. Those times might feel like failures. They did for me, but I had to learn about what failure really is, and the word no isn't something we should consider a failure. It's so important to accept that a failure isn't an event. It's part of our journey towards success. And actually, I have never met a successful person that just says, one day I thought of a dream and I woke up and it happened. That doesn't happen. They have to fail a lot. And usually the most successful people fail the most. And last year at Summit, which I really recommend you be at Summit this year, our own CEO, Carl Deichler, got up on stage and he said, I had this plan for an amazing speech, but I started it already and I already feel like a failure. And then he went on to say, I can bet all 9,000 of you that I am the biggest failure of them all. And he explained how we might see Beachbody as this amazing success that has helped hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people get healthy, which it has. But to him, he sees the journey of how he's failed his entire life and how all those failures led up to this amazing company. And I think that's really awesome. And I'm going to post that video of his speech at Summit under this one so you can watch it. And I really recommend you do. I just think it's awesome that our own CEO said, hey, will you go along with me and fail with me? I mean, we're struggling through our rapidly growing business. Our customer service could be better, and we're working on it. We might launch a few duds here and there, but I want you to do this with me, and I just think that's awesome. He wants us to fail. You may have heard that I like numbers, and I recently heard this ratio that I think is so true. If you go out and invite 1,000 people, out of those 1,000 people, you might get 100 yeses, which also means you're going to get 900 no's. But out of those 100 people, you might get 10 coaches that are discount coaches. And out of those 10 coaches, you might get one coach that wants to work the business that will become diamond. And that seems like a lot, but the point is you need to go for no, which is a great book you should check out if you haven't. and make it your goal to get 100 no's a month, or whatever number you want to set that to. And it becomes a fun game. Maybe even have a success partner and compete with them. Who can get the most no's this month? That way, when you get a no, you can be like, yes, I got one more than you. But then when you get a yes, you're happy, but you're like, oh shoot, I gotta ask more people so I can get more no's. I want to leave you with a story that really meant a lot to me, and it's this lady was walking on the beach and she saw thousands of starfish that had been beached. So they were going to dry up and die. And then she saw this little boy picking them up one by one and chucking them into the ocean. And she thought that was such a great thing to do, but he was going to fail and he was going to be disappointed because his mom was probably going to call him up for lunch and there's no way he could save all the starfish. So she thought she should tell him and warn him that he was going to fail, and she told him, look buddy, there's just no way you're going to get all these starfish. You're going to fail, so it's probably not, and it's not useful to do what you're doing. And he picks one up and then he chucks it into the ocean, and then he looks at her and he says, it mattered to that one. And I just think that is an amazing story, because that is exactly what we're doing. There are something like 200 million people that are obese in our country, and a result of being obese is they might die early from a disease that's preventable. And that's what our job is to do. It's preventative medicine. We have the tools to save their lives. And I was one of those starfish that was on her way to obesity and disease. I was almost on medication. And I'm just so thankful that I was invited to change my life. So we have a choice. Are we going to just sleep our lives away because of the fear of failing or hearing that word no? Or are we going to wake up and realize that hearing no and failure is just part of success, part of our journey towards success? Which are you going to choose?